And let me bring in my first guest was scheduled a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, we didn't connect for whatever reason, and I joked with the publicist that if we reschedule, he'll have to bring a special guest with him, and somebody took me seriously. So I'm very excited to welcome in two amazing bass players, father and son, and it's Tye and Robert Trujillo. What's up, guys?
Hey.
Hey, what's happening?
Hey, well, you guys are happening, man. This is father and son. You guys got records out at the same time. I mean, that's Tye, for both of you, that's got to be super exciting.
Hell yeah, it's sweet.
Yeah, it's awesome. We're competing against each other, our records to see, But no, it's pretty cool. I must say, it wasn't planned that way, but
yeah,
it's good.
How about for you, Tye? This must be a thrill for you. You and your dad got records out at the same time. Two new, by the way, both really great records.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it just happened to, I guess, happen around the same time of the year. So, I mean, we're both happy. We're both stoked. So, sick.
Yeah. And Tye, I'm not sure. How old are you?
I'm 18.
Yeah. And this is amazing because this is your second full-length album, right? So maybe your first one came out when you were 16, and I'm I was thinking of, I was just trying to figure out how to ask a girl to high school prom, and you have two full-length, albums out now, man. So congratulations.
Oh man, thank you, man. Yeah, thank you. Feels great. Get the work out there finally. Get the music out. Get the art going. So.
Yeah, and you have, I know you have a tour coming up, so we'll talk about that in a little bit. But Robert, I think the first question is, how does it feel to have a very famous bass player in your family, Robert?
Well, it's awesome, and the cool thing about it is Tye's got his thing, and I've got my thing, as far as the way we play, and there's a mutual respect, which is always a good thing within, just in general with bass players. Bass players always seem to get along. I always say they get along the best. I don't feel like there's the rivalries as much as there is with some of the other instruments, like guitar or something. That's like, oh, I'm better than that dude.
Yeah,
bass players tend to get along, and there's things that he does, and I'm like, how do you do that? You know what I mean? Like, show me, how you do that. A lot of the things he does with a pick.
He's shaking his head. That's so funny.
Yeah, no, but
I learned from this guy, so
yeah. I mean, we inspire each other, and that's a cool thing. At a certain point, for me as a dad, to be inspired actually by your son is a pretty cool thing, and I'm sure it goes the other way around too, always, but to have it for me is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's so funny because I wanted to ask Tye about you obviously being a mentor to him, Robert, and as far as the instrument and all that stuff, but also the guidelines in the business, all the other stuff that goes along with being in the music business. For Tye, what's the best advice that you think your dad's given you outside of the instrument?
Oh man, I mean, it would take a bit to think about it. I mean, instrumentally, there's so much advice, and I mean, in the business too, there's so much advice. But I think outside of the instrument, in terms of the business, I think a good piece of advice I've gotten was making sure everything's lined up for a gig, like making sure like I'm playing a legit venue, like making sure it's it's all set up well and everything's organized. I think that's definitely some advice I've gotten, because there's been issues also with gigs, like errors and stuff, where it's like sometimes things don't line up. So making sure things like line up is like, I think one of the.
How often do things line up anymore in music? Because it's a collaborative thing, right, Robert? Everything sort of has to work. If there's one thing that's missing, and also Tye, to the same point, you don't want to get taken advantage of either. So yeah, you want the gig to be legit, because you're going to get up there and you're going to pour your heart out on stage. But one little thing could derail the whole show.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point. Actually, when you're advancing a gig, there's so much that goes into it. And even for me now, seeing what he's going through, with the clubs, and sometimes if I'm there at a gig and I'm trying to help, I tell you, some of these stage managers at some of these clubs, they're not nice. I mean, it's like they don't care who I am or anything. They're just not nice, and it happens. And I guess I always just try to tell Tye and his bandmates, it's part of the experience. It's part of the, that it's just part of the journey. We've all experienced that stuff where you get kind of bully production managers or stage managers, I should say. And, sometimes you get really cool people, and sometimes you got people that don't want to respect, bands that are coming up, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So that's a part of the journey too. And it is what it is, and it's just, it's kind of a thing that you got to experience. We all went through it. You know what I mean?
Right. And there's really no shortcut to doing it. And you're right, Robert. There are times, like I always tell people, people ask me about my career and I go, I'm going to give you a great example of show business. On a Saturday in Atlantic City, I played in front of thousands of Metallica fans at the Orion Fest. One of the greatest experiences of my life. And by the way, I still have the Vans you gave me.
All right.
And then the next Thursday, I played the back room of a pizza place in North Jersey. So that's really what it is. But at the end of the day, I performed the same way at the pizza place that I did at your festival as well. So, I think that's really the only way to do it. That's how you get your chops, man. It's a gig's a gig, and you do it 100%.
Yeah, Tye. I mean, one of the things I've noticed with you is you always, give it your best, whether you're playing a bowling alley or pizza places too. You've done that, or backyard parties. And that's one of the things I admire. It's always about the music,
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, the music is what's carrying everything out. It's bringing the energy to the crowd. You got to be able to bounce the music to the crowd and then have the music bounce back their energy to you.
No, exactly. It's a totally reciprocal, conversation between the artist and the audience. But Robert, you were mentioning before how, your son inspires you. I can totally see that because I know that years ago you filled in for Korn on the bass, and I think you were like 12 or something. Like, how was that for you? Like, did you kind of know I got this, or was it crazy for you?
Well, I mean, for me, it was a little bounce between the two. Like, I think learning the songs.
There we are.
Yeah. That's me right there, little 12-year-old me with legendary Jonathan.
Yeah.
And then Nate in the back. Sick photo. I mean, I had the confidence, I got it from practicing it. But then, looking at how many people there are, I was like, this is crazy too. So it's a little bit of a balance between the two. I was like, dude, these songs I have them playing wise, but then you look at the crowd, look at how crazy it is. I have to just think with the crowd, you just gotta kind of tune it out a little bit and just focus on what I'm playing so I don't get too nervous or anything. And then that helped me focus and not get distracted and try my best,
Yeah, and that's great advice, really. I mean, because Korn plays like your dad's band. Korn plays for really big crowds, and that can be intimidating, especially for a young guy like yourself. But what was your takeaway from touring with those guys? What do you think was one of the things you really learned maybe you just answered it. Maybe that was what you learned the most, is to just sort of get inside yourself.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it. Also, I mean, outside of music, even waking up early for a lobby call or something, I didn't really know much about that then. So I learned more about that. And then, now with like suicidal, then I just turn on my alarm, or like with auto, we got to wake up early, catch a flight or drive somewhere, just turn on the alarm, get up, push through. Even it might not be, it might be hard, it might not be hard. I mean, sometimes it's hard for me to wake up early. Sometimes it's easy, but when it's hard, it's tough because you want to keep sleeping in bed, but you just got to get up and get the day going.
Yeah, well, no, all performers. I mean, Robert, right? We like to sleep. We work at night, so I don't want to be up at 8 a.m. either. But again, like you said, Robert, that's part. You can't skip that step. That's such an important thing to get in the van with your bros and go out and do it that way, because that's what really builds your character and really gives you your drive. For that stage manager was an asshole to go, like, nothing personal against him, but people like that. I'm going to show them, like, we're going to do something hot with this band.
Absolutely. One of the things I told Tye before he went out on the Korn tour, I was just like, you always want to try to be the first one down for the lobby call. Like, don't be the last one. Don't be late. Try to be the first one down. And that was a rule that I learned when I was in Suicidal Tendencies. Yeah. And we still go through it with Metallica. You know what I mean? It's like, I still don't want to be the last guy down there, Right. So those are just little things that matter, to the team, because it is a team at the end of the day. You're all brothers on the same mission.
Well, yeah, and you don't want to be the weak link, right? So, don't be last for lobby call.
Especially with Suicidal Tendencies, you don't want to piss those guys off. You know what I mean? You don't want to piss those guys off.
I've only met Mike once on the Monsters of Rock cruise, but yes, seems like a very intense guy. So. But that was the beauty of the band, the total intensity of that band, and you were also in Infectious Grooves, Robert, right?
Yeah, yes. Infectious Grooves was and still is. I mean, Mike and I still, do a couple things here and there. Like actually, we played Orion Festival.
Yep.
Years back, and that was kind of a reunion. So. It's always nice to have fun with that and revisit it. But that was an experimental experience for myself and him and some of the other musicians. It was great because it was really no rules. Yeah. And we were taking like kind of bands like, like Slayer elements and meshing it into ska elements, along with, like, obviously the bass was the featured instrument. So there was a lot of, funk-driven ingredients into that recipe. Yeah, there it is. That's me with Metallica. I was gonna say, wait.
Yeah, I saw you guys with Body Count at like the Ritz in New York City in like '91, and that was the first time I was sort of exposed to like the bass almost being the lead instrument in a band, which was really cool. I wanted to ask you, Tye, about your dad being a mentor as far as your instrument, because it doesn't always have to translate that, because your dad's obviously a master at his, that it'll be passed down to you. Because Wolfgang Van Halen said in an interview on Howard Stern, he said, "How was your dad, as a guitar teacher?" And Wolfie said, "I love my dad. You know how much I love my dad, but he was a terrible guitar teacher because he could never go back to the basics." Eddie Van Halen puts on a guitar, and he's Eddie Van Halen. How is it for you guys bonding over the instrument?
Well, I mean, I would always ask him like, how do you play like this exercise or this exercise? And like, I would learn that. I first started out actually, like the first thing I learned was like the major scale. I just learned that all around the fretboard. That really helped me kind of get my chops up, because like I did it in a way where like it used every single finger, and just did that around the fretboard, and that helped me. And I mean, I think as far as teaching, I've learned a lot from my dad. So I think like a lot of little exercises there, a lot of things that help my playing improve.
So like, so Robert, you were able to explain to him that you got to know the basics first before you jump into the fire, so to speak.
Right. Well, when he was super young, like 8 years old, he because he had been playing drums before that, and then I think it was around 8. I mean, he asked me to teach him something on the bass. So, like he said, the first thing I taught him was a C major scale. That's kind of the first thing most people learn.
Yeah.
And he took that and he applied it to all the different positions on the fretboard, and he did that kind of on his own. And then a couple of days later, I think it was like a blues scale. You know what I mean? And at a young age, and then at a certain point, it was like Jaco Pastorius punk jazz on the fret.
I tried learning that. I didn't ever learn the whole thing, but
Yeah.
I tried to do bits and pieces.
But you did a great job. I mean,
I tried.
The point is it's this that you know, the focus and the determination has always been there, and you know, you just kind of have to say, hey, you know, try this and move it around, and then, you know, and it's always going to be up to the person that's taking the advice to take it to the next level. You know, you can only do so much for somebody. I would never force anything on anyone, or, you know, force an instrument on them or anything like that. I never wanted to do that to my kids, but luckily they enjoy music and they're creative individuals. You know, there's a lot of creativity in our house. It's kind of crazy.
Right. Your wife is a musician as well, and
right.
So obviously a lot of different influences in terms of just listening to music. I'm sure in your household, kind of, it must have all seeped in there, not just what your dad taught you, but just listening to different styles of music over the years. And we should put up the album cover. The new Otto album is called Life is a Game, and you can hear a lot of those influences on the record, Tye. And so congratulations for that, because you got the punk stuff in there, you got the straight on metal stuff, and lots of other things happening. So that stuff must have seeped in while you were growing up, right?
For sure. I mean, growing up, like, you know, my dad was playing all sorts of different stuff in the car, like, you know, funk stuff, like 70s funk stuff, and like, you know, some Public Enemy here and there, you know, just a bunch of different stuff, like you know, Alice in Chains grunge, you know, like Tool, you know, just a bunch of different stuff, and hearing all that stuff, you know, it's really inspiring.
And you know what's cool, Don, is Tye's turning me on to bands, you know, like some of these hardcore bands like Vane FM and you know, just various groups, you know, Turnstile. And that's exciting. Like, I've gone to shows with him and his friends, and I'm blown away. I'm like, I might be close to the oldest guy in the venue, but I'm also having the most fun because I'm witnessing something unique and fresh.
Right.
And for me, it's exciting, you know. And so he's turning me onto all these hardcore bands, and so it's kind of reciprocated, you know what I mean? It's like,
absolutely,
it works both ways, you know.
Well, it's because, Robert, you know, guys our age are always asked, like, how do we find new bands in this genre that we like? And you know, I'm happy to tell people that, you know, you should give Otto a chance. Man, the record is really, really well done. It sounds killer. Lots of different influences in there. It's super heavy. I mean, I know Robert has his little side project, 72 Seasons thing or whatever, but which is an album dedicated to the last time my Jets won the Super Bowl, apparently.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's
well, you got Aaron Rodgers now, so you never know, man.
Oh, good. Now we'll be 7-10. Perfect.
There you go.
Hey, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I did want to mention, because obviously Metallica's on the road this is probably the next 2 years of your life, right?
Oh yeah.
And you'll be in the area where I am right now, which is New York City, and you'll be playing out just over the bridge here in Jersey. And there's so much cool stuff happening. The takeover of North America, of course, begins, and Metallica will be here in town the 4th and the 6th of August at the MetLife Arena, speaking of football, at the football stadium out there. And then you guys will be with the band Bastardane at the Gramercy Theater on the 5th. And this is so cool that all this stuff is kind of happening around what's going on with Metallica and all that. And and I think there's a Metallica offspring in the other band as well.
Yeah.
Castor.
Totally. Looking forward to it. It's gonna be sick. All those cities.
Yeah, they're doing way more shows than we are. Actually, they're kind of blowing us out of the water in terms of the work ethic is strong. Let's just say
you guys
that.
don't need to do as many shows. So
yeah, we've already done all that. So
you guys already done all that.
Is that is James's son in Bastardane?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
Castor.
Yeah.
And Lars's son plays as well in a band. Is that right?
Yeah.
Type A Houston is a band that Lane and Miles Ulrich have. They're not on this tour, but they're really great. They've been touring Europe mostly.
We'll be playing with them in Colorado Springs though, so that'll be cool. It's kind of like it's off the grid of the tour, but it's like we'll still be stopping there and playing with them, so that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's August 25th that they're doing that, something like that. Which is going to be cool. Yeah, it's with Five Finger Death Punch. I had heard.
I think so.
That should be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course Metallica doing the no repeat weekends. Everyone's really excited for that, and congrats both on making amazing albums, being father and son, and having great records out at the same time. And I appreciate a few minutes today, and good luck with everything, Tye. And Robert, I'll see you in Jersey.
I'll see you in New Jersey. All right, Don.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
All right.
Dude, take care.
Cheers.
Cool.
All right. Bye-bye.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Don. Thank you for watching that clip. Here's some more I think you're going to enjoy. And of course, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.